Elon cannot believe what he's hearing.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's like famous last words.
Actually, I'm not interested in Mars.
You want to see a guy who can't believe what he's hearing? You know, sometimes people just let out a little laugh and they hear something and it's so unexpected. They're just like, oh, they can't contain it. Elon Musk is talking to Jack Ma. He's the richest guy in China. Just a couple days ago, he resigned from being the CEO of Alibaba. It's a huge commerce company over there, so you can trade with China easily. And they're at this AI event where they're talking about their two thoughts on AI. And I don't know who matched these guys up, because Elon Musk is one of the four thinkers on AI. And Jack Ma, I actually used to kind of follow him for some of his business advice. He literally, like, I hate to say this, I've lost a lot of respect for the dude, because what do smart people do? When they don't know something, they admit they don't know and they try to learn. They default to the person who has a better vantage point, better information, better experience, better knowledge. But Ma, in almost like kind of these little condescending ways, like makes these comments about Musk and like his thoughts on AI. They're hard to believe. So I want to break down socially what's going on between these two so you can understand what's going on, because there's a lot of funny stuff going on behind the scenes. So let's roll this footage and I'll come back on and we'll break down exactly what happened.
I'm told that, does AI mean love? There's like a name, AI. It sort of sounds a bit like love.
Yeah, AI. I hate the word AI called artificial intelligence. I call it Alibaba intelligence.
What?
Yeah. might end up being true. You know?
All right, that's the first thing. You know this is heading in the wrong direction when the first thing he says is AI should have a new meaning. Alibaba's, Jack Ma's company, intelligence. So Elon's like, you can see his reaction. Watch his reaction here. And it's the first thing. He's like, okay, maybe this guy's like, because Jack Ma, he's got to be incredibly smart. He started, I think it is the biggest company in China right now, and he starts out with something like this. So watch Elon's reaction. This is the first time that he has to deal with Jack Ma's antics.
The word AI called artificial intelligence. I call it Alibaba intelligence.
Yeah. might end up being true. You never know.
Doesn't even know what to say.
I think generally people underestimate the capability of AI. You know, can a chimpanzee really understand humans? Not really. You know, probably it's much greater. So.
I will tell you, Elon Musk is not the most clear with his words. Things are popping around his brain going every which way. So a lot of times he talks in weird anecdotes and correlations, and it is kind of hard to understand. That's an example of that right there.
The biggest mistake that I see artificial intelligence researchers making is assuming that they're intelligent. Yeah, they're not compared to AI. And so a lot of them cannot imagine something.
And towards the end of this video, I'm going to show you something really interesting. Elon makes this mistake consistently. I know a lot of people that have this mistake too. It's when you have a quirk that you consistently have. I'm going to teach you a real easy, quick way to address that and to kind of diffuse it so you come out looking better than if you just continue to make the mistake like Elon Musk does.
I hope they're nice. I mean, I have obviously some... You know, I think in a situation where
So one of the good things that Ma does is he does let Elon Musk talk. A lot of times when you have differing opinions with someone else, the tendency is to want to jump in, say how you disagree, ask probing questions, try to get clarity or to prove that you're right or show them that you're smart. But Ma does a good job of just sitting there and letting Musk talk. Because one of the things Musk does is he has long pauses in between his thoughts. So it's hard to tell if he's still going on a thought or if he wants someone else to talk. So Ma is very patient from that standpoint.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by what your vision about the technology. I'm not a tech guy.
Okay, now that is very important. That's the one thing that Ma said to give Elon Musk accolades, and that was very planned because he wanted to preface this whole thing because he knew he was going to basically come out and say everything that he thinks Elon Musk is wrong. So it was very strategic to say, even though it was kind of ambiguous, I'm always interested to hear your thoughts on this because I'm not a tech guy. That's how he sets it up. But listen how the tone turns a little bit here.
I think more about life. I think AI is going to open a new chapter of the society, of the world, that people try to understand ourselves better. 99.99% of the predictions that human being had in history about the future, all wrong.
Including that one?
Oh, yeah. Only,
I like Elon Musk's cheer there. He's usually so serious. I like that lightheartedness. See, and what he did there is he says later in the interview, he corrects him. He's like, what? He's like 99.9% of human predictions are wrong. Like he doesn't agree with that. So I think this is a real nice way for him to kind of call him out, like call him out of the spot. Even that one's wrong. But look at the good cheer and the good mood that he's got about that. I think that's actually Elon Musk's nicest move in this thing. I wish he would do more of that in these very serious, dry conversations.
In the history about the future, all wrong.
Including that one?
Oh yeah.
Only,
you know, the
it's a genuine smile.
0.00% of the prediction are right. They're right because by accident.
Look at him. He tries to stop himself there with the hand up, but then has to go. Watch.
Right. They're right because by accident.
Tries to.
Yeah, but it's also true that 80% of statistics are false.
Yeah. So my meaning is
Cold
that
room. Come on, guys. That was a joke.
And that was another good thing. So Elon Musk, a lot of times he's talking to these hardcore scientists, right? And they're there. Maybe they don't have the most developed sense of humor. A lot of times people who have like ridiculously high IQs just don't roll with humor as much because they're thinking about things so logically. But Elon told a joke. The crowd didn't react. He's like, come on, guys. That's a joke. Loosen up. Tough crowd, cold crowd, I think he says. I think that was a great thing too.
Cold room. Come on, guys. That was a joke.
And it's a nice, when you call something out like that too, it ups your social status because you're the authority telling them they're wrong for not laughing at that joke. That actually works in a normal situation. Like, let's say you're out with some people and they think they're a little bit cooler than you, and there's somebody else that's new, and it's kind of important for you to come across while you tell a joke, nobody laughs. You little crack like, geez, tough crowd here. And then right onto something else, it acknowledges the fact that you told a joke and didn't get a laugh. Because if you tell a joke and just don't get a laugh and don't say anything, you can kind of look like people just kind of go in their shell and they're embarrassed and they're shy and they wish they would have made that joke. You're verbally acknowledging it. So you're showing confidence to actually acknowledge that the joke fell flat. But then you're turning it, almost blaming them. Like, that was a good joke. You guys didn't even laugh. Geez, tough crowd here. You guys' heads are in the sky. Anyway, right on to something else. So that's actually there's a lot of layers to that and why that works. I thought that was very well played from Elon.
College smartness. People like us, street smart, we're never scared of that. We think it's a great fun. And
we're never scared of that. So he's saying because he's street smart, not book smart, he's not scared of that. He's not scared of artificial intelligence. He doesn't even understand it. So for him to have the bravos and the bravado to say, we're not scared of that's ridiculous. That's like some third grader saying, I'm not scared of Mike Tyson. I'm quicker on the jungle gym than he is. It's like, dude, come on. You don't even understand that. That was the first time. And I was like, wow, this guy's really off his rocker. And to start off by saying he's not a technologist and he's not into technology, and then to have such strong opinions in the face of what the actual leaders in the movement are saying, I think it's ridiculous. I think you've probably heard of a guy named Ray Delano, I think it's pronounced. He was the CEO of Bridgewater, I think his biggest hedge fund ever. And he says when you're factoring in opinions and thoughts, always defer to the person with the most experience in that exact thing and weight his thoughts more heavily. So if you're sitting in a meeting and there's three people and you got Jack Ma, who has some AI developments in his company. They actually just came out, his company developed a chip that's super advanced, but he himself doesn't know much about that. He's not involved in that. So he has a little interest, but not much involvement. You got Elon Musk, who's a forethinker in the movement, and say you got someone else who's just like taking notes. So any thought that Elon Musk has on it should carry 95% more weight than what Jack Ma does when they're making decisions. So if they were in the same room, I thought this was actually really important, and it's kind of good to take people's egos out of it, because what if you're in a meeting and there's a CEO and a line level employee who works on the line? So he's much lower in the hierarchy, but he's much more competent when discussing things about the line. So maybe the CEO has spent some time on the line, he knows how it works a little bit, versus the guy on the line. When you look at things that way and you say, okay, we're going to weight the opinion of the person that has more direct experience, and the CEO adheres to that methodology and that thinking, well, it's easier for him to be like, yeah, okay, I actually think this, but I see you're on the line and you have much better opinion and vantage point. What's going on? We're going to go with that. A lot of CEOs, even if they knew the line worker was right, it'd be hard for them to swallow their pride and be like, oh, I was wrong, they're right. But when you have this methodology laid out, it's easy to defer to it and just say, okay, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter if the president of the United States or a street sweeper. If we're talking about street sweeping, his arguments and his thoughts are going to be weighed higher. So I think that's just a strong component to understand in leadership. And unfortunately, Ma is definitely not exhibiting that in this instance.
We want to change ourselves to embrace it.
I don't know, man. That's like famous last words.
I like that too. He's got on fire at the beginning of this interview. If you've seen his other interviews, a lot of times he's so stiff, and now he's getting in some jabs and hooks, some funny comments.
What do you think about that? Actually, I'm not interested in Mars. I just came back from there, so.
I don't get that joke. Clearly he's trying to make a joke, but he says, I'm not that interested. I just came back from Mars. Like, that would be funny if he was referring to like some crazy trip he took like to some country and it was just out of control. He's like, man, I felt like I was on Mars, but with no context. I truly don't even know if that's, I mean, I think it's a joke, but I have no idea what it means. It's definitely not funny to someone that doesn't know the inside or behind it. Maybe, and to give him as much credit as I can, maybe before the talk and they started recording, he was talking with the crowd and he was talking about some place he just came back from and it felt crazy. I don't think so, but that's the only way that joke would carry any weight.
What do you think about that? Actually, I'm not interested in Mars.
So for him also to say he's not interested in Mars, Elon Musk's life work is to get to Mars. He started some payment processing thing. He started PayPal. He started Tesla. He started all these things so he could have enough money to start SpaceX and populate Mars. It's like his life dream. That's like going up to LeBron James in an interview and saying, I'm not really that interested in the NBA. You know, I think there's more important things to be focused on. Even if you believe that, it shows terrible social skills to say something like that. Even if you wouldn't even want to couch something like that. If you really felt that way, you'd want to pose a question. So you want to be, why are you so interested in going to Mars? LeBron, why do you think the NBA is so important? And let them talk versus making any kind of statement like that. That's terrible form.
I just came back
and
from there.
You see his reaction. I mean, he's just like, whatever, dude.
Came back from there, so.
That's what's called a courtesy laugh.
I'm more interested on the.
He's not. Look at that face. Look how serious and unhappy and angry. Like he doesn't even want to be. I think that may be the point that he's like, why did I agree to talk to this guy? Look at that somber, angry face.
There's the things, what's going on happening here. So
just a faux head nod to feign agreement where clearly he doesn't agree with anything that he's saying. It's almost like a meditation to not say anything, just let him talk.
Why you're so curious about the Mars? And I'm not that fan of the Mars because I think it's easy to go to the Mars when you go on the top of the hills or of the building. Just one step, you go to Mars.
What? Look at Elon Musk's face there. He's like, can't even wrap his head around what these guys say. You go to the top of the building, you take one step and you're there. Okay, dude.
You will never be able to come back.
Yeah,
so that's my view.
That's not how it works, though.
And also,
look at that nervous twitch. Elon just rubbing his pant leg, rubbing his knee. He's like feeling so awkward.
And also, I hate to go to.
That's awkward. Shoulder comes up, body gets stiff. He just can't believe what he's hearing.
My view is that by the artificial intelligence or AI, when human beings understand ourselves better, then we can improve the world better. Last 200 years, human beings tried.
Do you see that? I actually think this is a good point. I think one of the things AI is going to do, not to make this a technology talk, but help us understand ourselves better because we don't understand anything about our brain, like really when you look into it or anything like that. So I agree with this with Musk, but then notice what he does after he makes his point.
Intelligence or AI, when human beings understand ourselves better, then we can improve the world better. Last 200.
See that? That's called a ping. So pinging, you're just checking the other person in the eyes to see what their response is. It means you care. Typically, a lot of pinging, think about it in your day-to-day life, a lot of pinging shows low social status because you're looking around to be sure that you're behaving in a socially accepted way, or the high status person. Like if you're backstage at a concert, notice everyone, they're trying to act like they're not looking at the big rock star, but everyone's constantly pinging off him to see what he's doing because he's setting the frame. He's setting the standard. Be sure he's not looking at you like you're a dummy. That's actually more of an advanced social skill. I go into that specifically much more in depth in a program I have called the Social Invincibility Program that explains all these little nuances and helps you be able to come up with things to say when you meet new people. So many people run out of things to say. They feel awkward. They're looking around. They feel uncomfortable, and it ends poorly. And them just knowing there's a good chance that's going to happen a lot of times prevents them from even going up to strangers to make new friends or acquaintances at the workplace. So if you want to check that out, you can go to socialinvincibility.com, or I'll put a link in the description below, or I'll put a card up here that you can touch on. It'll take you there. I'll talk you more about it in a quick video over there.
And we have more new problems that come up. So that's my view about jobs. Don't worry about it. We will have jobs.
Yeah. I think that...
See, I don't think, okay, look at this. His little looking off makes people think that he's being sarcastic, like just saying like letting the crowd laugh like it was a big joke. And look at even Ma's reaction there. He's like a little bit of a sheepish smile, like he's getting made fun of. I don't think Musk is trying to make fun of him. I think Musk is trying to gather his thoughts. And here, I'm going to tell you the last point of the thing I was talking about earlier in the video, something he could do really easy to improve. But watch how this plays out first.
You will have jobs.
Yeah.
Look how nervous he is with his hand.
I think that, over time, AI will make jobs.
Do you see? It looks like he's staring off to a man on Mars right now. He hasn't unfixed his gaze to the back of the room, and that's not where people are sitting. That's just like a blank spot on the wall.
Kind of pointless.
So what he could do, and he does this all the time, and he gets into this weird monotone delivery. Pointless. We better move fast. AI could be very bad. Sounds like famous last words. And that's just the way his brain works. And I'm not sure that he ever, I don't think a guy like this really wants to allocate that much time to becoming super socially smooth. If he did improve some simple things, he'd definitely get his point across easier. But all he needs to do, knowing he does this all the time, is the first time he finds himself doing this, just call it out to the crowd. Be like, listen, I know sometimes I stare off like a zombie when I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Just give me a minute when I do that. And then every time he does it, it's not as weird. And if you have something weird, like sometimes people will have something like very seriously can't control, like Tourette's or maybe an eye. I don't know what the technical term is or the scientific term is, but an eye that doesn't focus with the other eye, some sort of a cross-eyed thing. Like maybe a cross-eyed thing is not something you should bring up every time, but something like what Elon Musk has or Tourette's, when you just acknowledge it, basically you want to acknowledge anything that could make other people uncomfortable or feel that what you're doing is weird. So an example that I used to use was, let's say I was sitting down in a meeting and I was just seated in the sun. So the sun was shining directly in my eyes. So it looked like I was kind of squinting and angry, and I knew it might come across that way. So right off the bat, when I realized the first thing would be just to move your chair, but there's no way I could move my chair. So all I did is bring it up and say, hey, pardon if it looks like I'm squinting or trying to pick a fight with you. The sun is just very intense in my eyes. So please be aware of that. And I may bring that up every 10 to 15 minutes so it doesn't get out of their subconscious. So Elon Musk, all he needs to do is acknowledge it one time at the very beginning, and then people are going to forgive it, and it's going to become a moot point, versus every time he starts talking, people are like, what is he looking at? What's he staring at? Very easy fix.
Probably the last job that will remain will be writing AI software, and then eventually the AI will just write its own software. So I don't know, I suppose I would recommend studying engineering, physics, that kind of thing.
You want to talk about monotone. That's like two notes. Engineering, physics, that kind of thing, I suppose. And the rhythm is just so flat. It's just like, and this is actually something, I talk about the social invincibility. There's really two big cores of social interaction and how people are going to perceive you and your status. And people assign so much status to you, or lack of it, before you even talk, based on your subcommunication. So things like pinging, body language, eye contact, all those things are big. But what are we seeing right now from Elon? Vocal tonality. The way that you speak matters so much in how people perceive you. People will not believe you, even if you're look at this guy. He is a forefront expert on rockets and space travel, and Ma doesn't even believe him. If he spoke with more certainty, right? Complete conviction in his voice, a strong, Convinced tonality is a convincing tonality. That is something I'm really passionate about. Tonality is the quickest fix to any social problem at all. Because I've seen people with very good social skills, but with poor tonality, those can all completely be swept aside. But I'll tell you what, you got some strong pipes and you sound convincing, you can get away with not knowing what you're talking about, with having poor social skills, simply because of the way you talk. And that's my other program. Those are my two main programs, the Social Invincibility Program and the Vocal Power Bootcamp. And if that's something that you want to improve, I'd highly suggest you take a look at it. I've got a quick video there that'll walk you through what you can expect to learn from it and how you can expect to sound afterwards. Just go to vocalpowerbootcamp.com, or I'll put a link to that in the description below as well.
Fundamentally interacting with other people. So if you're working on something that involves people or engineering, it's probably a good approach.
I can't even watch it. I'm so bored. And he's like the smartest, one of the most interesting guys on the planet, and I can't even watch this. This is like a 50-minute interview, and it just continues on like this with Ma saying just ridiculous things. So I'm going to cut it off right here. But if you want to see a YouTube video, a free video that I've got on how to increase your vocal power and tonality, I'll put a link to that right here. You can click on it, and I'll talk to you there now. So the three types of vocal tonality are rapport seeking, rapport neutral, and rapport breaking.